here's three things you can learn from his life. If you look, number one, he really gives good attention to his friends and to friendship. Now, Don and I are always saying to each other that we actually don't spend as much time as we would like to with each other personally. And yet the reality is, as friends in ministry, we have done things that we could never have done apart. And in some ways, when I look around we have here, Don and I realize that neither of us could have even come up with the idea for this. In fact, of course, what's actually happened is way beyond any idea we had, and yet it came out of a friendship. In some ways, Gospel Coalition came out of a friendship. So look for friends that can make you better in ministry than either of you could ever be apart. Secondly, Don is characterized by a term that I got from one of the biographies of John Stott. The best biography, I think, of John Stott is a biography entitled Godly Ambition. It's a great term, godly ambition. In Don's case, here, we ministers, it's sometimes hard for us to have much in the way of ambition beyond growing our church and maybe even growing our denomination. And Don's a scholar, though in a minute I'll tell you he's definitely a scholar practitioner. But as a scholar, it's easy to just be only concerned about growing your, growing your resume, having more books, maybe even growing your institution. But Don has always been characterized by godly ambition. He is very Catholic, small c. He's always wanted to see a movement of the gospel and a movement of the Spirit that raised all the boats. He's always wanted to see, he's really wanted to see historic movements of the gospel around the world. And generally, most of us just care about our own little tribe, our own little turf, just getting bigger there. Don's never been satisfied with that. He has a godly ambition to see the gospel go forth in the world, to see the cause of the gospel be lifted up. One last thing. Don is not just a scholar, but he's a minister. He loves preaching, he loves evangelism. This is one of the reasons why it's perfectly appropriate that Don has been honored with 2 Festschrifts. A couple of years ago, some of you know that Don, being a scholar of great worldwide recognition, a bunch of scholars got together and did a Festschrift for him. But now there's another Festschrift that's come out, and those of us who are more practitioners have written. It's called Serving the Church, Reaching the World, Essays in Honor of Don Carson. And these have more to do with preaching and evangelism in the world today. This book, by the way, it's an Ivy Press UK book, edited by Richard Cunningham. There are a few hundred copies on sale here. But it's worth, we're not presenting this to him, but I wanted you to know about it because it tells you something about him. We ministers should really just long to be academically well informed. And you academics ought to long to be people who essentially, in the end, are just helping the church minister the word. And Don has done that.